What do people commonly misunderstand about capitalism and the past 200 years of economic history?
Well, it's in the very word. Both the left and the right think that capitalism has to do mainly with the accumulation of capital. So piling brick on brick and bachelor's degree on bachelor's degree. And it's true that that's a feature of the last 200 years. Unfortunately, it's also a feature of the last 200,000 years. Humans have always accumulated. There's not anything strange about the rate or amount of accumulation in the last 200 years. What's bizarre is the amount of innovation, the amount of what I call market-tested betterment. And that's just exploded. As Matt Ridley says, ideas started having sex, and the baby ideas had sex, and the grandbaby ideas had sex, and just more and more. And then that made the capital investment worth doing. So capital in capitalism is just the intermediary. It's not the real cause. The real cause is technical and some institutional change. And that in turn was caused by the notions of equality in what used to be called liberalism. Free people equal before the law and equal in social standing.
What about the role of institutions?
Well, as I said, institutions like capital are mostly intermediate causes. Institutions change largely in response to good ideas. You develop the telegraph, and that makes centralized stock exchanges sensible, and the smaller regional stock exchanges get less important. So it's the innovation, it's the telegraph that determines the institution, usually not the other way around. Now, there are institutions in the modern world that were new ideas and important. For example, the idea of the research university embodied in the University of Berlin in 1810. But mainly it was an ethical and ideological change that made the institutions possible. The institution of a free press only came in fact came about as a result of the invention of the steam press, the circular press, which could produce tremendous numbers of copies, and that made advertising the main support of the newspapers, whereas in the 18th century, the main support was political parties, including the government itself. So there was not a free and independent press in the 18th century as there came to be. So the institution of the free press needed the First Amendment in the United States, and that's an institution, but mostly it was intermediate in the same way that capital is. You got to have the capital, you got to have the bricks to make the building. But if all you had was the bricks or the institutions, you would run into very sharply diminishing returns. It's innovation, ideas, that's what made the modern world.